Now I've been running a whole bunch of commands on here as I've been kind of demonstrating some Linux basics. There is a history of your commands. If you use the up arrow on your keyboard, it'll take you through the history of all the commands that you've run in your session. It also gets stored in a little database. If you type history, that's a list of all the things that I've run, right? All sitting here in the history. If I look at the history and I want to rerun one of these commands, I don't want to type it all out again, you can do that by using an exclamation point and then the number that you see in front of the command. So for example, if I type exclamation 101, it's going to echo Brian Green to that new file again. And if I want to look at the contents of new file, instead of typing it all out, I could do bang 102. By the way, I always say bang for that exclamation point. It's easier to say bang than exclamation point, right? But 102 you can see is cat new file. So that basically is going to show me the contents of that file. Again, I didn't have to type the whole command out. I could just reference it from the history. If there are commands that you type frequently, you can make an alias for those. For example, when I type ls, it only shows me, just the files and folders. Maybe I want some more options. So maybe I also want to see all of my files, and I want to see it in a format that I can see what the permissions are and whether it's a directory or not. So instead of having to remember to type ls-al every single time, I'm going to make an alias for a command that I can use to do this. So I'll make an alias, I'll call it ll, and I'll make it ls-al, like this. So now if I type ll, it's going to run this command, right? So that's how you use the alias command. If you want an alias, the problem right now is if I log off, I'm going to lose any aliases that I created. So you have to edit a file to do this. And if you look in this list of files that are in my home directory, one of them is, let's see, I think it's bashrc. So bashrc, if you edit that file, you can add this alias. So for example, and by the way, anything you put in bashrc is going to run automatically when you log into your session. So anything that you want to just run automatically when you log into your session, you can put in bashrc. For example, I like to use different themes for VI. So I'll add the commands to change the VI theme into my bashrc. I might add something to change the color scheme for my command line. Maybe I don't like the colors, right? You could change the command line prompt to be something else, right? All that customization you could put in bashrc. So I'm going to use VI. Oops, there's a dot in front of it. And I'm going to edit bashrc. So you can see in here, there's a whole bunch of options in here that you can change. For example, the size of that history file, right? I can change that if I wanted to. But if I scroll all the way to the bottom, and you can see this is some stuff that runs when you first log in. It's going to change the color scheme. It's going to set how the command prompt looks. But all the way down at the bottom, I can add new aliases if I wanted to. So down here, I could append to this file, and I can add ll equals ls-al. So now, if I exit from the command line, I'm going to SSH back into my server to create a new session. And now if I type ll, oh, it didn't run. But I think maybe I forgot to save that bashrc. But that's basically how you create an alias. Oh, I forgot to put alias in front of it. I'll fix that for you real quick. Yeah, sorry about that. I forgot. So I'm going to insert alias. There we go. Now I will exit and come back in. Sorry. Sometimes when you're making these videos, you kind of forget the little steps, right? But that worked, right? So once I have an alias in there, so it survives that log off and log back in, it makes it persistent.